Hello and welcome. I'm Kumresh Krishnamurthy and I'm here with a sharing mindset. Yes, so today is a very interesting episode we have. We are going to talk about scaled agile framework. SAFe, in short, is one of the most popular scaling frameworks today in the industry. Every company I know has to get into scaling agile. That's because of the competition, that's because of the digital revolution. So every company has been living in the phase. Every company today is a software company, right? Every business is a software business. Doesn't matter it is a private sector, it's a public sector. Every company has become a software company mainly because of the digital revolution, right? So how do the companies succeed? And what are the challenges do they face? And what answers do SAFe provide? So let's get into the first episode of SAFe and let's understand the framework as a whole. So this is what we have. As you can see, we have the framework right in front of your eyes. Okay. So this episode, we are just going to talk about the overall framework at the high level. And then in the coming videos, we are going to talk about the details of every layer, right? Now, as you can see in front of you, this is the full configurations. On the top, as you can see the word full configuration, okay? Now, SAFe stands for Scaled Agile Framework. This is for the lean enterprise, as you can see. How has it been divided? So SAFe has been divided, or the framework has been divided into three layers, as you can see. The lowest layer is called Essential. The layer on the top is called large solution, and the topmost layer is the portfolio layer. So there are three layers out here as part of the full configuration. But out of these three layers, the question is, are all the three layers mandatory? Do we need to have all the three layers to scale? And the answer is no, we don't need all the three layers to scale. So which one is the most important layer? Yeah, you guessed it right. The word essential itself says it all, right? So essential layer is mandatory, and the other two layers on the top, they are optional, which means large solution and portfolio are optional, and essential is a mandatory layer if you want to scale using SAFe. Okay. Now we know that there are three layers, but how many different combinations can we have between using these three layers? How many combinations can we have? Yes, we can have four different configurations. All right. Four different combinations, which means four different configurations. Okay. The configuration that you're seeing in front of you is called the full configuration. As you can see the word full configurations on the top. So the full configuration is a combination of all three layers, just essential, large solution, and portfolio. All the three layers coming together is your full configuration. All right. Now, what are the other options of this configuration? So the next configuration is called the portfolio configuration. Now, sometimes the better strategy is to have essential and portfolio coming together without the large solution layer. I'm going to explain the details of these layers, but just to make sure you have an overall idea of the different combinations, I'm just explaining this as well. So the combination of essential and portfolio layer is called portfolio configuration. And of course, the next combination is without the portfolio layer, you have essential and large solution. The combination of essential and large solution is called large solution configuration. And the fourth combination, as you can see, is only the essential configuration, because essential is mandatory, right? That's the only one which is required. The other two are optional. So if we have that kind of a scenario in our enterprise, so we call it the essential configuration, which means we have only the essential layer. We don't have the large solution and portfolio layer. So this is how it has been divided. Keeping your needs, understanding your context. As an organization, you can decide which combination is best for you, right? So we are going to explain the details soon, but before we get into the details, let's come back to our full configuration and understand what exactly is there around this configuration. What do we have around this framework? See, on the left side, you see these circles, right? Now these on the left, they are called what? They are called competencies, right? So there are 7 core competencies of SAFe. See, here you're saying that there are only six, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are only six out here. Yes, where is the seventh one? The seventh one is right here below, right? At the bottom, you have lean agile leadership. So there are in total seven core competencies. Every core competency is extremely important to understand. That's because you use these core competencies to be truly agile. And that's what we call it business agility, right? Agility is not enough at the team level. We need the whole enterprise to be agile. We need the whole business to be agile. That's why this word business agility is of focus. And this came in focus in SAFe 5.0. All right. And that's because every company needs to think about business agility, right? Team level agility is important, but it's not enough for the whole company to be successful. So that's why business agility is important. And the seven core competency is going to provide business agility at its own layer, at its own level, because every layer needs to understand what exactly they must do to be truly agile. So we are going to do some kind of a deep dive to understand what these core competencies are. But the key is, how do you measure? Look at this, measure and grow. So these core competencies is going to provide you a lot of guidance so that you as an organization can measure how good are you, what's your maturity level at that core competencies, what are the changes that is required for you to do at that core competency, and that is how the whole organization will mature. And this is why measure and grow is important at every core competency to understand how they are doing and where the improvements are required. Okay, so every core competencies will be attached with something called dimensions, right? So there are three dimensions attached to every core competency as well. So we are going to talk about that later on, but this is what we have here. On the right side, you have the floating palette out here. We have the vision, roadmap, milestones, shared services, COP, which is community of practice, a systems team who helps with integration and all the other things, support, right? And lean UX, which is required, the UX UI, user experience, user interface. That team is also required, but they are also kind of floating around because their services would be required in different layers at different times. Okay. And of course, the matrix. Without matrix, you will not understand how well the team is doing. So all these things are part of your spanning palette on the right side. At the bottom of the framework, what do you see? This is what makes a company, a team, a person move from doing agile to being agile. Agility is a very interesting word. It's very simple to understand. It's very hard to implement. Why is it hard to implement? That's because the only thing that needs to change for you to be truly agile is the mindset. Okay. And for that things to change, for the mindset to change, you need to understand the principles and the value statements, which is extremely important for every person, every company, every organization, every team to believe in. So most of the companies, most of the teams, most of the people are just doing agile. They are just doing agile. They are just following the ceremonies without understanding the why behind it. Why are they having daily stand-up? Why are they having sprint planning or whatever it is, right? So all those things are going on without understanding the reason behind it. And that is why many of the companies, many of the teams are struggling to be truly agile because they don't have the buy-in. They don't understand the why behind it. So how do you move from doing agile to being agile? The key is the principles and the value statements. Unless you understand the principles and the value statements, you will not be able to move from doing agile to being agile. And that is the focus out here as well. Below, as you can see, you need to understand, or every person in an organization needs to understand, what are the core values behind the decisions that you are making? What are the core values behind the framework? What are the core values that we want to give to the customers based on the values that we believe in, isn't it? So it's not just understanding these principles and value statements, we also have to believe in it. Unless we believe in it, we will not have the buy-in. And unless we have the buy-in, we will not be able to be truly agile. Okay, this is the journey from doing agile to being agile, understanding and believing in the principles and value statements. So this is why we have the core values out here, and we need to have the right mindset to move to being agile. And that's why we call it the lean agile mindset. And this is where we have something called the safe house of lean, which is a very interesting concept. And then we have the principles. Without the principles, we will not have the guidance. We will not be able to move in the right direction because principles helps us take the right decisions. This is right, this is wrong, right? We need the principles, we need to believe in the principles, and they will provide us guidance to make the right decisions. So that's why we have the principles, safe principles. There are 10 safe principles, right? And then, of course, we need to understand how the transformation works, right? We want to move from waterfall to agile to scaled agile. The whole journey has to be understood well, okay? And this is where the implementation roadmap comes into play, which explains at every step what do you need to do to be truly agile using SAFE, using the framework. And then, of course, we need the right change agents in the form of SPCs, right? SAFE program consultants. So they are the ones who have got the experience, the knowledge in giving the direction for you to be truly agile using SAFE. So they are the ones who is going to be very important in creating the right mindset in moving towards the right direction. All right. And then what we have is we have the roles out here. You can see the roles and responsibilities are clearly defined in SAFE at every layer. Okay. And I'm going to explain later on in the coming videos what exactly are these layers and exactly what are the responsibilities they come up with. Okay, what do they have? What do they don't have? What should they focus on? What should they not focus on? What is the line between the different layers? Okay, because clarity of thought is the most important thing for every role and responsibility. Then only you'll be able to make the right decisions, make the right choices, isn't it? So keeping that in mind, we are going to get into more details. All right. So this is a very brief introduction about what we are getting into in the coming videos. So stay with me, and then we will learn more about the framework in the upcoming videos. So stay in touch. Take care. Bye.